The Montreal Canadiens have made a huge trade here with the Colorado Avalanche, acquiring young forward Alex Newhook and a huge prospect and pick deal that we need to talk about. But what are the trade details? What did the Montreal Canadiens just do? We'll watch till the end for all the details, all the news, and hit that subscribe button if you're new for more hockey and trade content all year long. You won't want to miss it. Now let's get into the actual trade itself, because we heard some rumors from David Pagnotta talking about the Habs, what they might do in this draft as well, and some trades that were brewing for them. We now get the actual trade at hand here from Brendan Clack, talking about a huge deal here between Colorado and the Montreal Canadiens, which the Habs have quite a bit of history with the Habs in a trade. But let's look at the trade itself here. A huge one, y'all. An absolutely big one for both teams involved. Alex Newhook going from the Colorado Avalanche to the Montreal Canadiens in exchange for defensive prospect Giovanni Fairbrother, the 31st overall pick and the 37th overall pick in the 2023 NHL draft. Now, this is absolutely wild. I was getting ready to make a Pure Luke Dubois video, and then this just comes out of nowhere. But in a lot of ways, I mean, acquiring a player like Alex Newhook makes a lot of sense for the Montreal Canadiens. They've obviously gone after a lot of young players recently, just in the last year or so, to fit around side Marty St. Louis. Alex Newhook is a player that has not lived up to his potential whatsoever for Colorado. The skill is there, the talent is there, the skating is there, but just the consistency and adapting to that pro game hasn't really been there on that consistent day-to-day, game-to-game basis. With the Habs, though, this is the type of prospect, this is the type of young player that I think Marty St. Louis could really get a lot out of. And again, this is a player that was a top 16 pick, was a player with loads of potential, and he's a guy I could see working out a lot for the Habs. Now, in saying that, this is an interesting package to give up. Even though I do think Newhook has a lot of potential, this is fascinating because the Habs give up a first rounder and they also give up a second rounder in this deal. And to me, with the Habs, a lot of what this draft needed was a goaltender. And to me, those two picks were prime examples of a place that they could have gotten a goalie here, and a fantastic one too. They could have gone after a Robble or a Augustine or a Fowler or a Guyon, any of those guys with those picks, and now they don't have them. Now, I think a lot of those guys will be off the board before their next pick, and that is really a fascinating wrinkle in this trade. And of course, they give up that first rounder that they got from the Florida Panthers in that Ben Sherratt deal, but they get Alex Newhook, who I think will be really solid for them in the future. You can see with Alex Newhook at 22 years old, still extremely young, and again, 222 as well this January, was a 16th overall pick by the Avs back in the 2019 NHL draft, and again, back that year, he had over 100 points in the BCHL, but just was an absolute mammoth, and you can see just the development throughout the NCAA and what he was done in the NHL so far. He had a okay rookie season, 33 points in 71 games in 2022, and then this last year took a little bit of a step back production-wise with 30 points in 82 games, and just wasn't really a main fixture on the Avs when he really should have been. There was a lot of room within that middle six, a lot of room to carve out a great role for himself, but that just never really materialized. He was okay for the Avs, but not in a position where he's really pushing for a bigger role and deserving of a bigger role. And I think for the Avs trading him, it doesn't really confuse me at all. I mean, he's a player that hasn't really fit with the Avs, and I think could definitely use a change of scenery, especially considering just how lackluster he was this last year. But again, in Marty St. Louis' system, I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity, a lot of time on ice, and this is the type of player that, even though he hasn't developed as a center, maybe could develop for a center for the Habs. Of course, now we have Pierre Luc Dubois likely going to the Kings. Alex Newhook, if he develops in that way, could be a solid top 6 skill guy for the Habs to acquire. But again, it is definitely a risk. I mean, Newhook has done solid. We'll see how he does in the Habs system, though, with bigger opportunity. But he will still have to be deserving of that, because he wasn't really deserving of that in Colorado. But to me, with Montreal systems, he could bounce back in a big way here, and that would be huge. And then going on to Giovanni Fairbrother, I wouldn't expect too much from this if you're the Avs. 22 years old, turning 23 this September, 6 foot, 203 pounds, was a 77th overall pick by the Habs in 2019, so two 2019 draft picks getting exchanged for each other. But this last year, in his first full season in the AHL, got 7 points in 25 games. I wouldn't expect all too much. Maybe he becomes a 6th or 7th guy, but for the Habs, he wasn't likely to fit in long-term with them, and they get Alex Newhook here, which is huge. But again, for the Avs, who have a pretty lackluster prospect pool, to add a first rounder and a really solid early second rounder is huge for them. And to me, I think we'll definitely see them capitalize on that. For the Habs, though, it is unfortunate to see those that first rounder and second round pick go. But Alex Newhook, if he does turn that page, I think could be worth that. But that's just the thing, only if he turns that page, because Alex Newhook hasn't shown to be worth a first and second round pick up to this point, but there's still a lot of time, and again, going into Marty St. Louis' system, that is going to be huge for him, being able to have that flexibility and that freedom to use that skill, use that pace of play that he has to his advantage, and really, I guess really weaponize the options that he has. And I think in Montreal, he's going to get those top 6 minutes off the bat, and he could work for even more than that. And to me, I think he's in a unique position where next year the Habs will have some weapons around him, hopefully. We'll see if he's on a line with Cole Caulfield. We'll have to wait and see what they do there. There's going to be a lot of options for Newhook's first year in Montreal, but the talent is there, the skill is there, and if Montreal is able to unlock it, like Marty St. Louis has with a lot of young players, then this could turn out fantastic for the Habs. But only in that situation, man, because besides that, it's looking weird. But it also does depend who the Avs end up picking with those picks. But the problem is for Montreal, again, I think they need a solidified, amazing goaltending prospect in the system. Dobish is solid, but I don't know if he's going to turn out into that true number one, like I think a few goalies in this draft might. And especially with that 31st overall pick, even the 32nd overall pick, I think there would have been prospects there available that would have been those number one goaltenders for them. But we'll see if this direction ends up working out. I mean, we'll see if they're able to select maybe a goaltender in one of their other picks, but I don't know how likely that really is. I think if you're still hoping for the Habs to take a starting goaltender or potential starting goaltender in this draft, it really all lies with their third round pick, which to me, there's a slight chance that maybe they're able to still pick someone with that pick. Maybe a Jacob Fowler falls that low. Maybe a player like an Adam Guyon falls that low. We'd have to see, but those would, in my opinion, be the only two guys that fall up to that level. I don't see Trey Augustine falling that low. I don't see Robbo falling nearly that low. I see them being picked around that 37th overall pick. So that's what you'd have to hope for, I think, if you're Montreal, is you still get a starting goaltender perhaps with that third overall pick. Jacob Fowler would be the most ideal, the absolute dream scenario, but this puts them out of the conversation of having a locked-in pick there, because I think even at 37, you would have had a locked-in chance at a player like an Augustine or at least a Robbo or at least a Fowler and had a for sure chance at them. But I could see a situation where all four of Robbo, Augustine, Fowler, and Guyon are gone by that pick. Maybe they go for a Carson Bjarnason. I'm not as high on him as some others, but we'll have to wait and see. I would still say it's pretty likely they select a goaltender with that third round pick, but again, it gives them a lot less options in this draft. Even if you are acquiring Newhook, that is still pretty sad to see. But honestly, though, if Newhook does turn that page, I like this trade for both teams. For the Avs, they get some more cap space as well and some more freedom within that middle six for a player that wasn't really going to turn out, I think, in the Avs system. And they really will rejuvenate that prospect pool, I think, a lot with that 31st and 32nd overall pick. So I think that's good for them as well. And for the Habs, you get a player that could really do well with Marty St. Louis and could really do perfectly there in that bigger opportunity, which I think will be huge for him. So we'll have to wait and see. I would say I would slightly lean towards the Habs here, but again, it really only depends on if Newhook's able to turn that page and really able to get going there. Otherwise, I think for the Avs, this is a pretty great haul for them. Even if I don't think Fairbrother is going to be great, I think those two picks are going to be huge for them to rejuvenate that prospect pool, get some more youth within the system. And I mean, Newhook, I just don't think it was going to turn out. So we'll see what happens. It could be a wash. It could be a trade even the Avs win by quite a bit, but Newhook in Montreal is going to be a fascinating thing to watch, and it's going to be a crazy year upcoming for the Montreal Canadiens. But let us know down below, what do you guys think of this crazy trade featuring Montreal and the Colorado Avalanche? Who do you guys think wins this deal? Is it the Avs? Is it the Habs? Let us know down below. How do you think Newhook will do with his new team in Montreal? And of course, share the video with all the hockey fans you guys know online. And if you did enjoy, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and click on this card up here for all my traded content right in one playlist. My name is Nathan, and I hope you have a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching the breakdown, and we'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.